Welcome to Rathalos Watch. This is the 14th episode of Should X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds. Today, we'll be discussing a current generation monster that looks more like a traditional T-Rex dinosaur, Anjanath. As always, we'll delve into the monster in greater detail, covering its first appearance, overall reception, memorable aspects, visual design, combat style, and ultimately, whether it should return to Monster Hunter Wilds. We'll explore how Capcom could potentially bring back the monster, what they should or shouldn't change, what new interactions they could implement, and how the monster could fit into the next generation of Monster Hunter in terms of mechanics and design philosophies. Without further ado, let's begin. Anjanath is classified as a brute viverine and was introduced for the very first time in Monster Hunter World when it was released on January 18th, 2018 for PS4 and Xbox One, with a PC version coming out later that same year in August. Monster Hunter World, the fifth mainline entry in the Monster Hunter series, marked a new era for the franchise. On March 26, 2021, another title, Monster Hunter Rise, was also released exclusively for the Nintendo Switch, featuring the return of Anjanath. Later on January 12, 2022, the game launched on PC, followed by its release on PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One on January 20th. As you fellow hunters can already tell, Monster Hunter fans had a solid dose of Anjanath for the last 6 or so years, but that doesn't mean our T-Rex inspired friend can't be returning to Monster Hunter Wilds. Anjanath can be encountered for the very first time in a 4-star village quest, the Encroaching Anjanath, in the ancient forest locale, and the objective is to hunt him down. Anjanath can also make an appearance in the Wildspire Wastes and Guiding Lands, which is the endgame locale of Monster Hunter World. In Monster Hunter Rise, he can also appear in the Shrine of Ruins, Sandy Plains, and also in the jungle and Citadel in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Anjanath can range from the smallest gold crown size of 1,448.88 centimeters to the largest gold crown size of 2,008.68 centimeters. Fun fact, Anjanath was the first monster revealed for Monster Hunter World. He was also originally intended to demonstrate the new turf war mechanic in a battle with Lagiacrus in the official prototype video. Unfortunately, Lagiacrus had to be cut from the game due to issues with its skeleton not working properly, and therefore did not make it to the retail version of the game, and Rathalos was used instead in a 3 trailer to show off the turf war mechanic. However, this has been resolved in Monster Hunter Wilds, which was officially confirmed by Capcom a few weeks ago during a Gamescom live stream demo. So here's hoping Lagiacrus makes a comeback soon. If you'd like to learn more about Lagiacrus, you can check out the very first episode of the series by clicking on the card on the top right. Let's dive into why Anjanath is so memorable and important in recent Monster Hunter history. To put it simply, Monster Hunter World was first revealed at Sony's E3 2017 conference, marking the franchise's long-awaited return to PlayStation, the platform where it originally debuted back in 2004 on the PS2. At that point, many believed Monster Hunter would never return to PlayStation, as it had skipped the entire PS3 generation, with recent mainline entries only releasing on the Wii, Wii U, and 3DS. However, Capcom grew tired of outdated hardware and its limitations, deciding to usher the Monster Hunter series into a new era and attract a fresh audience that had never experienced the games before. By 2018, gaming had become much more mainstream, social media had exploded, making it easier to reach a much larger audience compared to the early 2000s. Anjanath became the face of this new beginning, being the first monster showcased during the E3 2017 announcement trailer, much like Doshiguma, who was the first monster revealed during the Monster Hunter Wilds announcement in December of last year. Another reason Anjanath stands out is that he has served as the first major challenge for many players. Since Monster Hunter World became so popular, a large portion of the player base was new to the franchise. It was easy for the newcomers to feel overwhelmed, especially when trying to understand the game's mechanics, and having 14 different weapons to choose from didn't make things easier either. It often took a lot of trial and error for players to finally break through and figure out how to defeat Anjanath. As a 4-star monster, Anjanath presented a real challenge for most players, though perhaps not as much for veterans of the older games. I remember seeing countless YouTube comments at the time from people sharing how difficult they found it to hunt him down and take him out. In regards to his visual design, I found it quite appealing if you ask me. Anjanath bears a strong resemblance to a Tyrannosaurus, with its pink-toned hide and dark fur-like covering along its back, which gives it a vulture-like appearance. Its body is primarily pink, where the dark fur runs from its back down to its necks, leaving its head bald. The monster's lower jaw features large fangs that create an exaggerated underbite. Its lower jaws are balanced by a hefty tail lined with quills on the underside. While its hind legs are powerful, its forearms are quite small in comparison. Hidden beneath its fur are a set of dorsal scales that extend only in certain situations. Additionally, Anjanath can raise a nasal crest, which it uses to scent mark its territory, track prey, or signal its aggressive state. When the monster is fully ready to attack, a flame sac in its throat glows bright red. Some would argue that Anjanath is rather basic or plain looking, but in my opinion, I believe that was the beauty of his visual design. He was Capcom's version of what a T-Rex would look like if he was in the universe of Monster Hunter. And if you watched my visual design rating videos, you already know that I'm all about the more grounded and realistic looking monsters. Okay, now it's time to go over the combat style of Anjanath. Like any hungry dinosaur, Anjanath will occasionally try to bite you. Sometimes he'll follow up with another bite and then slam his head down. If you are behind him or if your palico is distracting him, Anjanath will quickly turn and whip his tail to hit whatever is bothering him. His most devastating move is his biting charge. When he flares his wings, it's a clear sign that he's about to launch a powerful attack. He lunges forward, slamming his mouth into the ground, then pushes even further, trying to hit anything in his path. This move deals massive damage and is crucial to avoid it by either dodging or running away. But that's not his only charge. At times he'll rush straight at you, trying to bash you with his head. He also has a leaping charge where he rushes forward, jumps into the air, and crashes down, damaging anything he lands on. If you're in front of Anjanath or too close, he'll try to kick you. If you are behind him, he may attempt to hit you with a double tail slam. When Anjanath becomes enraged, he flares out his wings and his nasal crest extends, signaling his aggression. In this state, he gains the ability to breathe fire, so it's best to avoid being near his face or sides. Not only will he try to bite you, but he'll also roast you, applying a burn debuff that forces you to roll multiple times to shake it off. His bites become more faster and more combo driven, and if he manages to land one, you'll be set on fire as well. Last but not least, there's an attack where Anjanath will grab you with his mouth and then throw you down into the ground, and if you do not move out of the way and continue to lie there, he will eat you like a good dinosaur that he is. This is his big dick signature move, just like a classic T-Rex. This is pretty much it for how Anjanath operates during combat. However, he indeed does have a subspecies variant known as Fulgur Anjanath, who is only available in the Master rank and is part of the Monster Hunter World Iceborne expansion, which is where he was first introduced when it was released roughly 1.5 years later on September 6, 2019. Fulgur Anjanath is an amazing subspecies variant if you ask me personally. In terms of looks, Fulgur Anjanath shares many traits with its regular counterpart, resembling a fierce and predatory dinosaur. However, unlike the standard species, Fulgur Anjanath features bright white fur on parts of its body, along with a much lighter pale gray hide. Its head is a striking orange, and dark gray stripes run along its body from head to tail. His usually concealed wings are light gray on the outside, but the inner surface has a purplish blue hue, which crackles with blue electricity when it powers up. In this charged state, both its nasal crest and the inside of its mouth glow with a bright blue light, making its aggression even more intimidating. Fulgur Anjanath's moves are largely similar to those of the regular Anjanath, but they include electrical effects. When he bites, you'll see blue sparks coming from his mouth. He also has a new move where he swipes with his head, then slams it into the snow and drags it across the ground. Occasionally, he charges up with electricity and rolls across the ground, which can deal significant damage if he hits you. Additionally, he can stomp the ground to release electrical shocks, and his kicks now produce sparks. Fulgur Anjanath can also expel electrically charged mucus from his nose, allowing for long-range attacks that the regular Anjanath does not have. Sometimes this mucus is sprayed in a straight line, and other times in a spread pattern. Notably, Fulgur Anjanath is the first brute Wyvern in Monster Hunter, including spin-offs, to utilize the thunder element. Oh, and his turf war with the Tigrex and Hoarfrost Reach is pure awesomeness. Just take a look at this. Overall, I find Fulgur Anjanath to be much more interesting than the original Anjanath, though both monsters are enjoyable to fight. I'm glad that Anjanath is part of the game. I particularly enjoy using a hammer to repeatedly strike him on the head. There's something very satisfying about knocking him down and continuing to hit him. Now that we've discussed both monsters, the big question is whether Anjanath and its subspecies Fulgur Anjanath deserve a return in Monster Hunter Wilds. In my opinion, the answer is a definite yes. First and foremost, Anjanath really fits the vibe and overall aesthetic of Monster Hunter Wilds. He's primal, old school, grounded, and would fit well into both the Windward Plains and of course the Scarlet Forest. The only issue is that Anjanath is a relatively recent monster, having appeared in multiple titles including Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise along with their expansions Iceborne and Sunbreak. As we've discussed earlier, he also received the subspecies in the Iceborne expansion, Fulgur Anjanath. The question now is whether Capcom will consider him worthy of inclusion in the 6th generation or if they will opt for a different monster. In my view, Doshiguma could be seen as the new Anjanath. Doshiguma was the first monster revealed for Monster Hunter Wilds, just as Anjanath was for Monster Hunter World. Both monsters served as key representatives for their respective games, which is an interesting parallel. As previously mentioned, the new locales in Monster Hunter Wilds shouldn't pose a problem for Anjanath's inclusion. The real question is how Anjanath would fit into the dynamic ecosystem of Monster Hunter Wilds. What would be his role? Would he be an apex predator in any of the new areas? In Monster Hunter World, Anjanath frequently engaged in turf wars with Rathalos, the apex predator of the ancient forest. We still don't know who the apex predator of the Scarlet Forest will be, though we know it's not Lalabarina, as confirmed by both the website and Capcom. Raidao is the apex predator of the Windward Plains, suggesting that Diablos may no longer hold that title in the desert locales. If Capcom continues the trend of introducing new apex predators, it's likely that Rathalos will not be the apex predator of the Scarlet Forest, and something new and formidable will take its place. I also doubt that Anjanath would assume this role. It would be interesting to see Anjanath portrayed more as a predatory classical dinosaur, actively hunting herbivores and competing with other predators like Doshiguma in the Windward Plains. Anjanath could serve as a formidable mid-tier predator that disrupts the ecosystem and challenges other monsters for resources. If Anjanath is included, I hope Fulgur Anjanath makes the cut as well. Many people I've spoken to have expressed their fondness for this subspecies. Fulgur Anjanath is more engaging to fight, offers a visually spectacular experience, and simply looks cooler. It would be thrilling to see him in combat with other monsters and watch them get electrified. Fulgur Anjanath is first encountered in the Hoarfrost Reach in Iceborne, but he also appears in several other locales, including the Ancient Forest and the Wildspire Waste. This suggests that he could potentially appear in Windward Plains and Monster Hunter Wilds, where he could battle Raidao. Imagine two lightning-themed monsters clashing, one grounded and the other airborne. That would be an incredible sight to see. In summary, I believe that Anjanath and his subspecies would be a great fit for the new mainline entry, even though he has already appeared in Sunbreak and Monster Hunter Rise. Do you fellow hunters believe that Anjanath and his fellow subspecies Fulgur Anjanath deserve to return to Monster Hunter Wilds? Or would you rather see something completely fresh and new? How do you see him interacting with other monsters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and tell me which monsters you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.